I've also had other success cases. Looking at the drylands, if I may start there first, we have worked on Phytex pios, which is an indigenous fruit tree. This indigenous fruit tree, you'll find it in the market, in around wherever the tree grows, when it's in season, which means it has got a value. Now, we have worked on it. The purpose was to see, do we have different varieties of Phytex pios out there in the natural environment? And true enough, we found there are several varieties. One, we have got some which have got large fruits. Others have got quite a lot of pulp, which means in terms of what the human beings require is plenty. Others are sweeter than others. So we have got those varieties. Now, having seen that, the question was, how many trees do we have out there? And that was a big question, because in that most of the trees that we saw were old trees, very few young trees, because those young trees were on the farms and they were being cleared as the farmers were preparing their farms. So KEFRI, the dryland program in Kitui, through as part of my studies, I looked at ways of shortening the period from planting to the time that the trees start fruiting. And so what happened is, we started different types of grafting. We started trying to even use the cuttings to root the tree. And eventually what we found is that it was very easy to graft this particular tree. And within a period of 2 years, we were able to start getting fruits. So there's a tree that is very friendly in terms of enhancing the productivity. This is something that was taken up by some of the young scientists in KEFRI, and it has also been taken up by our seed product division in Karura, looking at the biochemistry of the tree. Now, moving on, we have also worked on another tree, that is the Terminaria browni. Terminaria browni is a tree that actually is very good for pores, very hard, and also termite resistant. And the question was the seed germination problem, which we realized the seed that we used to get in Kitui were mainly invested by insects. However, we also realized that the seed that we are getting from Nyanza were very good, and they were germinating, getting very high percentages. So we actually now concentrated on lacing the material from those sides of Nyanza, while at the same time trying to understand if the seed in the natural environment are germinating in Kitui, why couldn't we also try to see at what point are the insects investing this seed, so that we can also overcome that, so that we can do also our selection of the good trees from that particular area. This is an ongoing activity that is on right now, continuing. Talking about another very interesting case that unfortunately was not documented, but part of my research as a researcher with where you think wildly and then you bring your ideas together. I had visitors from Germany one time, and we found some seedlings of very overgrown seedlings of cypress and pine. And they were due for disposal because they were not of any, they were considered to be overgrown, and in that case they could not be planted in the field. And the question that was posed to me was very interesting. What are you going to do with this particular seed? And I said, seedlings. Then I said, oh, they are going to be thrown away because they are overgrown, and we only plant them when they are about 8 to 1 year old. And so one member of the delegation asked the question, why can't they be cut back? Yeah, can't we cut them back so that they are easy to manage as you take them to the field, and then they grow from there? I said, no, as far as we are concerned, in our practice in Kenya, we can only do that for eucalypts, but we cannot do that for pine, and we cannot do that for cypress. It became a bit embarrassing to me because the question was, have you ever tried that? And true enough, I had not tried. That is number one. Number two, have you read it anywhere in the literature? Again, I had not read. So he asked, the question was, where did you get that information from? And my simple answer was, I think I learned that in the university. Then this was a professor from one of the universities in Germany. He said, no. In the university, we always have references. If you don't have a reference, I think it's a question of it's in your mind, but it doesn't exist. I took it casually, but immediately they left, I took those seedlings. I took some of them. I cut them half down to 1 foot. They were tall, over a meter. I cut them to have 1 foot, each, majority of them, and I left the others 1 meter tall. And I set up a trial in Napras. This was in 1998. Unfortunately, in 1999, I left for Kitui. But around 10 years later, I remembered that I had planted that trial. And I went to see what has happened. What was interesting is that I could not tell the trees that I had, the seedlings that I had cut, and the seedlings that I had not cut. However, the seedlings that I had not cut, we had spent a lot of money because they had to be supported with sticks. Every time they fall over, they had to be, put back to their position. But the ones that were cut, they just grew straight. Now, interesting enough also, the point of cutting, if you can imagine the tree as it develops, that small thing was absorbed inside. I only saw in 1 or 2 trees where you could see where the actual seedling had been cut at the top. You could see there was a small scar at the base of the tree. But the rest of the trees, in terms of size, in terms of diameter, in terms of straightness, in terms of everything else, they were all the same. So which means that notion, and I've asked this question to many foresters, they all say we cannot cut pine, we cannot cut cypress. It's a myth. You do it in the field, it will work. And it works. This is a living example. The trial is in Napras and one can actually see it even today. Thank you.